And the national championship game is underway.
South Carolina starting out in man-to-man defense. This is the matchup to keep your eye on. Bree Hall, outstanding defender on Paige Beckers.
Fudd trying to get free, could not. Good denial here from South Carolina. Chen will fire. Can't hit the three. Long rebound. Ends up with Beckers. Can't hit her jumper. Another rebound. This time it's Fudd, and a held ball is going to give South Carolina possession. AZ Fudd upset. Felt like she had wrestled that away before the held ball should have been called. Gino Auriemma said he was expecting much more pressure on their ball handlers in this game than what Connecticut saw in February. Here's Pow Pow. You bet!
That is an outstanding sign for South Carolina. Dawn Staley told us earlier this season our team relaxes when Pow Pow hits a shot early.
Here's Strong, the talented freshman, guarded by Kitch. Strong, poised at the cup.
It is truly remarkable, the poise with which that young woman plays. Only a freshman, never seems rattled, never seems sped up in any way.
Was the #1 recruit in the nation for this year's class, the National Freshman of the Year. Here's Kitch trying to work Strong. Kitch to the hook, able to drop it in. Chloe Kitts, who is the MVP of the SEC tournament, as well as South Carolina's region, leading into the Final Four.
She had a quiet semifinal game because she picked up a foul early. Her minutes were limited as a result.
Here's Beckers, guarded by Kitts. Beckers trying to dance around her. What a move from Paige Buckets.
Paige Beckers is so adept at creating space for her jump shot, especially when she's going to the left side and can use her step back move.
Sanaya Fagan, the senior, rumbles in, couldn't finish it. Raven Johnson, another chance, floats it short. Strong has it knocked away, but a foul called against South Carolina.
Tahina Pow Pow is a big-time threat from the three-point line. Caitlin Chen got caught up on a screen, has to be feeling confidently about that one, and then Paige Beckers, the space she creates going left.
One of the things Tahina Pow Pow talked to us about yesterday was, my teammates have been begging me to shoot the basketball. Dawn Staley said she wants no hesitation on shots from Pow Pow. There was no hesitation there. Meanwhile, that foul on the other end was on Kitts, her first. Here's Fudd. Strong giving it right back. Fudd, a deep three is off. Rebound Chen. Chen finds the cutter. Fudd, she got that one.
You see how much South Carolina is switching defensively. When AZ Fudd took that first three, it was the big Sanaya Fagan defending her.
Fudd had 28 against South Carolina in mid-February. 18 of those in the third quarter alone. Here's Kitts. Not really her forte from out there. Backdoor Johnson gets free. Good action early between UConn and South Carolina. Here's Beckers, guarded by Hall. Gives it up, Strong, cross court. Chen fakes the three, on the drive, banks it in.
That all started when two defenders ran at Paige Beckers. UConn had a good job switching sides of the floor. The closeout, Caitlin Chen attacked it.
Both teams executing on the offensive end in the early going. Here's Hall, the senior step back is good. Hall has shot it very efficiently in this tournament, 56%, after she shot it just 38% from the floor during the regular season. Beckers can't get that one to drop, and hits the weak side rebound.
This is what South Carolina's bigs can do. They can facilitate the break off of their own defensive boards.
And hit jumpers like that. Dawn Staley said we're going to need to put points on the board against this UConn offense. Strong finishes on the interior.
Both of these teams are so good, Ryan, when they can get out and transition offensively. Your best way to prevent transition is by scoring the basketball, and both teams are doing that at a high clip.
Pow. Not that time. Rebound El Alfie. Dawn Staley told us before the game, #1 key, keeping Connecticut out of their transition offense. Fudd leaning and hitting, plus the foul.
You know what Emma loves when AZ Fudd is aggressive going to the basket. And when she is decisive, you see her here getting in, gets hit on the off arm, still able to finish. Now both bigs for South Carolina with 1 foul, but perhaps that results in one of their biggest weapons coming in Joyce Edwards.
They called that foul on Chloe Kitts. It would be her second. On that replay, it clearly looked like it was Fagan.
I think the coaches are telling Dawn Staley.
Yeah, exactly.
How? That was clearly on Fagan.
Yes, unless there was something from Kitts at the front of the drive from Fudd that we didn't see. Here's Joyce Edwards, the freshman, off the bench, and a foul on Jana El Alfie. Let's take another look. I mean, that's obviously on Fagan. Kitts is nowhere near the play. Now, they can correct this in the break, and obviously we would expect them to, and it should be 1 on Fagan and 1 on Kitts. That's 1 on El Alfie. 13-11 Connecticut lead. Hall gets denied by Strong. Ping-pongs into the arms of Beckers. Chen attacking, bouncing, El Alfie laying.
Caitlin Chen has been really playing with some poise here throughout the entire tournament, but especially here in the Final Four. That was a nice drive and then lay for El Alfie.
A Princeton grad student here at UConn, and has fit in beautifully. Kitts couldn't get that one to drop. Edwards, the freshman, timed that jump perfectly.
Talk about a player who's been playing with poise. Joyce Edwards has been spectacular here in the Final Four.
Beckers underneath, tried to force it up and in, could not. Good defense there from Hall. Here's Edwards going back to work, and that's going to be foul #2 on El Alfie. It'll put Joyce Edwards at the line. Scintillating action in the early going of the national championship game.
Sarah Strong is a very good defender here, switches out, times the block of the pass beautifully, and then on the other end, Jana El Alfie finishing strong with the left.
Well, decades of dominance for UConn and South Carolina. For Connecticut, since winning that first title in 1995, a .926 winning percentage. They had a win streak of 111 games, 6 perfect seasons, and 11 national championships. Since South Carolina's first, led by Asia Wilson, they have won 3 national championships, had a 71-game home winning streak, a perfect season, and have won nearly 90% of their games. South Carolina wins this. They'd have the repeat. They'd also have their 3rd title in 4 years, cementing a dynasty. This is the 7th meeting all time between the preseason AP #1 and 2 teams. The #1 has won the first 6 meetings. It was South Carolina who was the #1 in the preseason this year, although it is Connecticut who is the favorite in this matchup today.
Interesting, because they're the 2 seed
Yes.
in this NCAA tournament.
Meanwhile, we saw Malaysia Fulwiley come into the game. Part of why South Carolina is so dangerous, the talent they bring off the bench. That foul was changed from Kitts to Fagan, so 1 apiece on Chloe Kitts and Sanaya Fagan. 15-14, Connecticut lead. Beckers 1 of 4 at the start. That pass stolen by Edwards. Here's Fulwiley, has her pocket picked by Fudd. AZ Fudd off to a great start.
After scores or even off of turnovers, Connecticut's guards are pressuring up, trying to prevent get-ahead passes from South Carolina, letting everyone else run back in their transition defense.
7 points from Fudd. Here's Pow. Spinning around, finding Kitts. Ice Brady in off the bench for Connecticut. Here's Fulwiley, always electrifying. Fulwiley dishes. Edwards in a crowd, and Strong able to snare it away. Here's Strong. Finding Fudd. Back to Beckers, off the curl. Beckers unable to hit, now 1 of 5 at the start. Beckers had 3 straight 30-point games leading into the semifinal. 16 the other night in the win against UCLA. Kids can't get it to drop. Offensive board, Johnson. And Raven Johnson, the senior, will calm things down.
Raven Johnson is such a good rebounder from the guard position.
Raven Johnson can't quite scoop it in. Beckers quickly ahead. Fudd had space. Instead drives it. Strong's 3. Back ironing off. Brady tips it. Fudd an extra feed. Strong loose handle. Flips it up and off. A little out of control on that possession.
You don't often see Sarah Strong sped up. She was a little bit after she got that offensive board.
South Carolina started this game 5 of 7 from the floor. They are 1 of 5 since. Here's Edwards with some space. Lost it. And will we have a tie-up? No, we don't yet. Now we do. And the possession arrow belongs to UConn.
Both of these teams crashing the boards hard. Here you have AZ Fudd with a little fingertip out on the perimeter to be able to get the steal and finish.
Hey, the Burton Tarasi Show, presented by AT&T, back for its 4th year, currently airing on ESPN. 1:25 to go in the first quarter. Connecticut, a 3-point lead on South Carolina. Here's Brady. Back door knocked away by Pow. Fudd, and another held ball. This time, it's going to be South Carolina basketball. And Dawn Staley wanting Mylasia Wiley to play with energy there. We've had 5 lead changes already today. There was not a single lead change when these teams met in the title game in 2022. Here's Kitts. Kitts putting it on the deck. Off to Edwards. Edwards can't flip it in. Kitts flips it up and off. Strong able to grab the rebound. Some good looks there for South Carolina.
You see how adept their post players are at not only initiating with the dribble, but also passing interior to one another.
Bree Hall draws the offensive foul there. They're going to call it on KK Arnold, her first.
Well, KK Arnold still moving after the little handoff to AZ Fudd.
Here's Kitts, off to Pow. Extra feed, Edwards can't finish it. Beckers got a hand on it. Six rebounds in the quarter for the freshman Strong. 7 seconds left in the frame. Beckers banks it in. 2 seconds left. Pow flips it ahead. Johnson can't hit, and that'll do it for the first. UConn a 19-14 lead after 1. We will hear from Gino Auriemma when we come back. Connecticut a 5-point edge after the first quarter of the national championship game. We'll be back after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
Coach Auriemma, some frustration you're showing right now talking to your assistants. What are you going to say when you get back in that huddle to your team?
Well, there's a couple little things, you know, like we lose contact with one of their shooters. That's fine. But down here now, we set an illegal screen, and then the next time we don't even set a screen. So, like, we got somewhere in between, you know. We might figure out a way to get it right. But man, it was a hell of a first quarter, and I'm tired just watching it.
AZ Fudd is not tired. She got off to a good start. We've rarely seen Paige and AZ firing on all cylinders at the same time. What does that signal to you, the start those two had?
Well, so far so good. You know, it's it's important that we get both of them because we can't rely on just one of them. It's just too much defensive pressure. So right now, my big concern is these big guys got to rebound better. Right now, Sarah's the only one. The other two guys, they got to rebound better. And I think we can get more opportunities in transition that we need to look for.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Well, Gino Auriemma told us yesterday we need 2 of our big 3 to play really well to have a shot in this game. Here's how things look thus far for Beckers, Fudd, and Sarah Strong.
Yeah, and those are the players that you want taking the lion's share of your field goal attempts. They have been so good throughout the course of the tournament and the entire season. You see the efficiency with which they're shooting the basketball in all areas of the floor as well.
Meanwhile, South Carolina starts the second quarter with Tessa Johnson on the floor off the bench. Last year, Tessa had a career-high 19 points in the national championship game as a freshman. Really helped change that game against Iowa. The game South Carolina went on to win.
A floor spacer who can be very good from 3.
Beckers, another jumper for Paige Beckers. And a touchdown lead for UConn. South Carolina has gone more than 4 minutes without scoring. Knocked away. Strong was out, and it will stay here with the Gamecocks.
Paige Beckers just coming off the handoff. South Carolina worked on this so much both yesterday and today of how they were going to try to defend it. That's just a tough shot.
Beckers with 6. Here's Fagan, and she traveled as South Carolina turns it over, their 5th of this first half. Now, Dawn Staley talked about keeping Connecticut out of transition and then also keeping them down from their normal 3-point average. South Carolina has done both of those things thus far, but it's Connecticut who leads by 7. Strong, able to finish.
South Carolina needs a bucket. They need something to settle them right now. Joyce Edwards, a good option for that.
A 9-point Connecticut lead, an 8-0 run. Raven Johnson gets denied. Sarah Strong flexing.
Sarah Strong is an outstanding defender, both on the ball and on the help side. And one of the things she does really well is block shots, keeps her arms up. No contact, no foul.
Here's Edwards. Edwards working behind the screen from Fagan. Edwards, oh my goodness, what a soft touch from Joyce Edwards.
We saw the poise with which she played yesterday and is very good facing the bucket, using some dribbles to get her to her spot on the floor.
Bud, short, rebound Johnson, an opportunity for South Carolina to creep a little closer, and Ice Brady picks up her first personal. Remember, Jana El Alfi already has 2 on her.
See Joyce Edwards gets the ball outside the 3-point line. Beautiful touch off the glass. I mean, both of these teams have a big, a 4-player who can face up and create off the dribble. Such a luxury.
South Carolina able to end that 8-0 run. They started hot from the field, went cold at the end of that first. Here's Fagan. Spinning inside, kicking out, Hall's 3. Off, Raven Johnson. There you go, partner. Another offensive board from Raven Johnson.
I mean, 5'9". She's listed as 5'9", but she is a terrific rebounder, both ends.
Edwards gets the touch. Freshman to freshman. Fagan, what hands!
South Carolina's bigs and their ability and willingness to pass to one another in tight spaces. Perhaps the best in the country.
Dawn Staley talks about that all the time. They want their bigs to be able to do everything their guards can do passing the basketball. Beckers, no. Rebound Johnson. South Carolina making a push. Tessa Johnson pedals it through traffic. Here's Hall, and it's going to be a moving screen on Joyce Edwards. That'll be her first personal. A coverage of the NCAA Men's Basketball Championship game continues tomorrow on CBS. Florida takes on Houston. For more information, go to NCAA.
Again, they worked so much yesterday and today again on that handoff action that UConn likes to run.
Beckers, it's the first free throw. Let's take another look.
Barely on the
Great
guide hand.
on the follow through, hitting the left arm, yeah. Beckers hits both free throws. Let's bring in our rules analyst, Violet Palmer. That's a big foul there with Joyce Edwards going out with her second. Violet, is that contact on the follow through enough to warrant a personal foul there?
You know, Ryan, I really don't think so. The ball was already gone. She had her follow through. It looked like she got the shot off pretty clean.
All right, great stuff, Violet. Appreciate the insight. Meanwhile, Kitts unable to finish on this end. Fagan tracks it down. Johnson can't hit the three. And again, Raven Johnson, another offensive board. Here's Tessa storming in, gets the foul against Sarah Strong, and that will be the first foul on the talented freshman who's a little shaken up afterwards.
Brian, when these teams met in the regular season, all those long rebounds UConn was getting, and it was fueling their fast break the other way. South Carolina outstanding, corralling those deep rebounds here today.
They already have 8 offensive rebounds in this first half. That was something Gino Auriemma talked to us about yesterday, concern for the way South Carolina can attack the offensive glass, even though it's not as much of a hallmark for them as it has been in years past. No Aaliyah Boston, no Camila Cardoso, still a part of the repertoire. And here was the foul on Sarah Strong on the drive from Tessa Johnson.
She got hit on the face, but she was reaching in before that, which is where the foul came.
Meanwhile, we'll see how South Carolina navigates after a tough second call against Joyce Edwards. She is back on the bench. Kitts and Fagan each have 1. Now Alfie has 2 for Connecticut. Sarah Strong with 1. Here's Fudd. All on Fudd. Into the corner. Shade wide open. And hit the 3. Now Alfie keeps it alive. Beckers will fire. No. And Raven Johnson the rebound. Connecticut yet to hit a 3 in this game. They are 0 for 5 from downtown.
The biggest hallmark for UConn on the season, the difference in their wins and losses, is their inability to make shots from the three-point line. And their 3 losses shot 24% from 3.
Fagan buries the jumper.
Sanaya Fagan has the experience and the calm for this South Carolina team.
The lead has been cut to 3. An 8-2 push from South Carolina. Beckers kicks it out. Fudd can't get it to drop. Raven Johnson gets it across. Connecticut 0 for 6 from 3. Fagan finds Kitts. Kitts, what a move. Can't finish it. It's Sarah Strong, another rebound, her 7th.
But smart by Fagan to go at Alfie, the player with 3 fouls.
Fudd on the attack gets fouled, and AZ Fudd is going to the line. And you can see Dawn Staley saying she's pushing off as Gino Auriemma has a conversation with Janelle Alfie. Dawn Staley has an extended one with Gina Cross as Fudd hits the first free throw. Now, one of the things Gino Auriemma said to us yesterday, Rebecca, he said, look, if we shoot like we did against UCLA, if we play like that, we're going to win. Said what we need to figure out is if we're not clicking on all cylinders on the offensive end, how do we find a way to win then? That's what you were talking about before. Those losses in the regular season, they weren't able to navigate those games where they didn't have it going from 3. Thus far, even though they're cold from 3, they still have the 5-point lead. Here's Kitts. Strong already has 1 foul. Raven Johnson tiptoeing. Pow back in for South Carolina. 4 to shoot. Pow. 2 to shoot. Pow gets denied. 5 by Strong. Able to control it in bounds. Here's Beckers twisting, dishing. Fudd, run off, pull up, is good. $11 points for AZ Fudd. And 19 in the first half of the semifinal against UCLA. Tessa Johnson, a big one. Short. Strong with her 9th board. Strong deep catch. Gets blocked beautifully by Tessa Johnson. And it'll stay here. 3:50 to go in the first half. Plenty of drama through the first 2 quarters. It's Connecticut who leads by 7 in a matchup between Dawn and Gina.
Back at the national championship where UConn leads South Carolina by 7, and the best freshman in the country, Sarah Strong, has been on full display here. She has remarkable hands. She catches everything thrown her way. She's been able to block shots in this one. She's gotten on the ground for loose balls. She just makes such an impact here. The last block, she was on her descent, still able to not only block the ball, but keep it in bounds. Her hands are remarkable.
We heard Diana Taurasi at Sue Bird the other night calling her baby Jokic with the way she plays. So we asked Sarah about that, and Sarah said, you know what? That's a huge compliment to me because I actually study a lot of Nikola Jokic film and try and implement aspects of his game. Strong deep catch and 2 more for Sarah Strong. Connecticut a 9-point lead.
Not an accident that the play was drawn up for Sarah Strong coming out of that huddle.
South Carolina started 5 of 7. They are 4 for 18 since. Strong 8 points, 8 boards for Wiley again as Fudd steal it away. AZ Fudd to the cup.
Mylasia Full-Wiley can be such an X-factor for South Carolina because when she's in open space, especially in transition, she can be virtually unstoppable. AZ Fudd has done a nice job on her here in this first half.
And Wiley's been limited to just 3 minutes in this first half for South Carolina. Here's Raven Johnson, can't pop it in. Loose ball, dug up by Pau Pau and Fudd, the reach in.
Saw AZ Fudd do this early in the game as well, just able to get in, just the help side, the poke, and then pushes it out in transition and finishing the other way.
For a little more on Mylasia, let's check in with Holly.
Well, Dawn Staley was frustrated with Mylasia early in this game. She pulled her out, and I could overhear her say, you've got to play today. Later, she sidebarred with her in one of the huddles. She is pushing Mylasia to play the right way. That starts on the defensive end, and if they need her scoring offense, she can help them score when it gets challenging, but she's got to perform defensively.
Well, no doubt, Holly. I mean, Mylasia Full-Wiley, when it comes to pure talent, she has no doubt the highest ceiling on South Carolina's roster. And there's games like the Sweet 16 against Maryland where the offense was basically exclusively run through her in the 4th quarter.
She can change the momentum of a game within the course of 3 or 4 possessions.
Fudd drives it, kicks it. Chen attacking, gets blocked by Johnson, controlled by Kitts. Big defensive play there from South Carolina. And they cash in on this end. Kitts, deep catch, Kitts, unable to finish through the contact.
Another great rebound by Sarah Strong.
Strong trying to go coast to coast. We'll ask for some help. Becker's right back to Strong. Couldn't flip it in. And Raven Johnson the rebound.
Raven Johnson has had a massive impact on this game. Only 2 points, but a massive impact.
And now can't quite hit the jumper. Strong, her 10th board. Raven Johnson told us the other day, people always want me to do different things. I just try and impact winning however I can.
She's been tough on the defensive end. She's been all over the offensive and defensive glass. Just pure toughness here in this first half.
South Carolina's gotten some good looks, but have gone cold after the hot start. They've missed 16 of their last 19. Here's Chen, 5 to shoot, into the arms of Beckers, 2 to shoot. They don't realize it. Brady doesn't get it off. And Connecticut with the shot clock violation. And coming up at halftime, it's the Dove halftime report. Elle Duncan, Andrea Carter, Chinea Gumake, with first half reaction and keys to the second half. Outstanding, sparkling, shimmering stars right there at the desk.
They are sparkly and shimmery today, aren't they?
That's right. That's what we call a double entendre.
That's right, because every time they are that in their personality and analysis.
Meanwhile, that turnover was the first of the quarter for Connecticut. Rebecca, anything South Carolina can do on this end to get their offense going?
You know, when Joyce Edwards was in the game, they went to her and tried to get that working. I've liked Chloe Kitts when she's been trying to initiate because she can be a handful, especially against this smaller UConn lineup.
Johnson connects. Big three there, set up by Wiley. Connecticut still without a three in this game. And now Johnson comes up with a steal. For Wiley, big one on the way. Off, Dowda, battling. Can't get it to go, but a foul. And free throws here for Miriam Dowda. As the personal is called on Ashlyn Shade, her first.
This is the first we've seen UConn's smaller lineup in this game. It's a lineup that's been so effective for them all season long, but in it, what happens? Another offensive rebound for South Carolina.
10 offensive rebounds for South Carolina as Dowda hits the first. A season 2 of Full Court Press premieres Sunday, May 3rd on ESPN and ESPN+. The 4-part docu-series takes an unparalleled behind-the-scenes look into the lives of Hannah Hidalgo, Flau'jae Johnson, and Kiki Iriafen. Sarah Strong with her 11th rebound of the half. 7-point game and about a 5-second difference game in shot clock. See how much UConn winds this down here. Beckers eyes the clock, gives it up, gets it back, 8 to shoot, into Strong. Beckers to the corner, Shade, connects! First three of the game for Connecticut. Bud knocks it away, and South Carolina with 1.4 to make something happen. Wiley lobbing it in. Johnson at the horn. No. And that will do it for the first half. South Carolina has had 8 different players score. 5 apiece for Johnson and Edwards, and 5 lead changes in that first quarter. No lead changes in the second. Also remember, Joyce Edwards picked up that second foul on a call that our Violet Palmer said should not have been made. Then she sat on the bench the remainder of the second quarter. We figured Joyce would have to be a big part of South Carolina's offense when she does come in here in the third.
Curious if South Carolina might look to attack Janet El-Alfi, see if they can pick up a 4th here early in the third quarter.
El-Alfi with 2 personals, guarding Fagan, attacking her. Fagan unable to finish, and Strong has her 12th defensive rebound of the game. Connecticut just 1 of 7 from 3 in that first half. Here's El-Alfi putting it on the deck, bouncing it out. Chen attacks the closeout. Her leaner is short. Rebound, Pow-Pow. Pushing pace for South Carolina with Connecticut back. Pow-Pow as it wrestled out of bounds by Beckers. It'll stay with the Gamecocks.
It's a rare opportunity for South Carolina to try to push out and transition. Tahina Pow-Pow takes advantage of it. Really good hands. I think that was all basketball by both Fudd and Beckers.
Just 4 fast break points for Connecticut in the first half. Kitts unable to hit the 3. Rebound loose, scooped up by Beckers. South Carolina with just 1 fast break point in that first half. Fudd can't lay it in, but gets fouled by Bree Hall. And free throws here for Azzi Fudd. Fudd, who was significantly under the weather in 2022 in the national championship game, really struggled against South Carolina. Played just 16 minutes, was 1 of 3 from the floor, had just 3 points, but bouncing back in a big way today. For a little more on AZ Fudd, let's send things over to Holly.
Well, AZ Fudd has been building towards this moment for all of her life, thanks to her mom, Katie, who had a pretty creative way to get her to develop that left hand. The saran wrap across the right, a little skill development, make sure you're good with both sides. I just love that. Her mom has poured so much into her, and her dad, Tim Fudd, lots of work with AZ in the offseason, and there she was as a little girl. That was the cutest picture I think I've ever seen.
I mean, Holly, when she told us the story, we thought she was talking about like 12-year-old AZ. No, not 2-year-old working on the left hand as kids able to finish through some contact.
Ryan, UConn's guard defense has been so good out on the perimeter. South Carolina has to rely on their bigs to create looks like you just saw from Chloe Kitts, like we saw in the first half from Joyce Edwards, what we saw in the semifinal matchup against Texas.
Here's Beckers giving it up. Fudd already with 15. Can't get that to drop in. Hits the rebound. Here comes Pow Pow. Pow Pow. Off to Hall, lob it in. Edwards quickly in off the bench, and a foul is going to go against UConn. It'll be on AZ Fudd, her second. Talk about how tough that Connecticut defense is.
Man, just so many contested shots for South Carolina, and they were about 50% on the uncontested ones. There just weren't enough of them.
Here's Pow Pow. Dipping inside, throwing it out of bounds as South Carolina turns it over.
Can we revisit the saran wrap for a second?
Can,
you and I are both
absolutely.
parents. We know that there is a multitude of uses for saran wrap. I did not know until we saw that picture and heard that story that was one of them.
Does that keep toddlers in bed through the night?
You let me know.
Maybe an NIL deal with saran wrap coming for AZ Fudd. Here's Fudd. Pivoting, dishing. Chen will fire way off. And the rebound to Fudd. Another chance for UConn. Fudd on the drive. Floats it in. AZ Fudd with 17.
There was only so much Joyce Edwards could do because she has her 2 fouls.
The big three has it humming for UConn. Fudd strips it. 3 on 2. Chan all the way in. Can't finish. Good contest there from Raven Johnson. On the other end, Hall, they need it. Don't have it. South Carolina 2 for 10 from 3. Connecticut just 1 for 8. And that was the #1 key for Dawn Staley, keeping Connecticut out of transition and limiting their threes. South Carolina has done that. Chen can't get that one either.
South Carolina's done what they need to do on the defensive end of the floor. It's been their struggle to score that's been the problem.
And Becker is going to pick up a foul there. That'll be the first on Paige Beckers. Hey, the 2025 Men's Frozen Four begins Thursday at 5 and 8:30 Eastern on ESPN2. For more information, go to NCAA.com. Your home for all 90 NCAA championships. Pow Pow, Tessa Johnson, Chloe Kitts, Raven Johnson, and Joyce Edwards, the 5 for South Carolina. Beckers strong, Alalfi, Fudd, and Shade for UConn. And that's going to be a foul here against Connecticut. And we'll see who they give it to. If it's Alalfi, it is her 3rd. And it is number 3 on Jana Alalfi. Significant because we have not seen Connecticut go small with strong at the 5 much in this game. Here's Kitts, shouldering in. Kitts gets another whistle against Alalfi, and that is going to be her 4th. So back-to-back fouls on Jana Alalfi, and now she'll have to check out.
Chloe Kitts does a great job with some fakes to get Alalfi off balance a little bit. Looks clean up top, but she definitely got her with the body down below.
And Violet Palmer, our rules analyst in the truck, confirmed she thinks both calls were the correct foul calls against Alalfi.
No, Alalfi doesn't provide a lot in terms of scoring on the offensive end, but she is a big physical presence who had a great semifinal game against UCLA and Lauren Betts.
See longtime assistant Chris Daly coaching Jana Alalfi through this. Now, Alfie's parents made the trip from Egypt, saw maybe her best game of the year. It's in the semifinals in that win against UCLA. Meanwhile, Malaysia Fulwiley, can she provide something in this second half? You talked about it before, Rebecca. She can change a game in a 3-minute stretch. Was held scoreless in the first half. The SEC 6th Woman of the Year.
Edward lost a shoe.
Strong, soft touch for Sarah Strong, and the freshman with another double-double.
That might normally have been Joyce Edwards' help and double inside, but she had to get her shoe.
Tessa Johnson can't finish it. Rebound Fudd on the weak side. 13-point Connecticut lead. Fudd, what a move. AZ Fudd all the way in. Danger time for South Carolina. And a whistle gonna go against Ice Brady. And that'll put South Carolina at the line with Connecticut already over the limit.
AZ Fudd, throughout the course of her career, known for her pure jump shot. She has added a real shiftiness to her game, attacking the rim.
On the fans in Gamble, love what they're seeing from AZ Fudd, who will return to Connecticut for another season. Said she had a conversation with Gino Auriemma where Gino said, it just feels like if you leave, you're always going to think, I didn't get to accomplish everything I could in a Connecticut jersey. She agreed and decided to come back, a collegiate career that up till this season has been besieged by injury.
And a young woman who also loves the school part of it. She graduated in 3 years, taking grad courses since then. She still enjoys the daily grind of going to class in addition to basketball.
Holly?
And it's remarkable that she feels that way about the school because she's been through so much. She has been out for much of almost a year and a half with knee injury, having to fight her way back to the court. She went 728 days without being able to play in an NCAA tournament game, but not today. She is not going to be denied, even though she was delayed.
Spot on, Holly. 21 from Fudd now. And South Carolina take advantage with Connecticut over the limit. Fagan bodying in. Nice move from Sanaya Fagan, who's really had a terrific senior season for the Gamecocks. Dawn Staley has told us many times she's the most important player to have on the floor for her team because of her communication. Strong and easy too.
Two-man game with AZ Fudd and Sarah Strong puts so much pressure on the defense because Fudd, with the way she's scoring, if you send two to her, you get the easy delivery to Strong on the roll.
Pow, pow, pocket feed, Edwards. Strong finish from the freshman.
And same thing on this end that time with Pow Pow and Joyce Edwards. Great two-man game.
Beckers gets fouled, and Paige Beckers will go to the line to shoot a pair. Will step aside, 4:26 to go in the third. UConn a 13-point lead.
AZ Fudd has had an incredible impact here on this game. Her ability to score, getting to the rim, saran wrap being sold off of shelves everywhere.
The Connecticut Big Three already with 41 today. They have averaged nearly 60 in the tournament, and over the last 4 games, just outstanding. And Gino Auriemma said to us, we need 2 of those 3 today in order to win. They've gotten good performances from all 3 thus far.
When they're all playing well, it's the best Big Three in the country. And we have seen that consistently now here through the NCAA tournament.
Paige Beckers at the line. Sinks the first.
I mean, when you look at that Big Three, Paige Beckers will be the #1 draft pick this year. When Sarah Strong comes out, she'll most likely be the #1 draft pick. AZ Fudd next year, it's interesting to see where she'll go, most likely a lottery pick. I mean, that's the level of talent we're talking about with those 3 players.
They might play that clip back in a few years. 15-point UConn lead. Can South Carolina make a push? Fulwiley is in. Knocked away by Beckers. Edwards has it, stripped by Strong. Again, good hands from Sarah Strong. And the Connecticut defense has just been fantastic thus far in this game.
This is the UConn team, because of how they score points, get so much credit and attention on their offense. They are terrific defensively. On ball and help side. Something they work on every day.
Here's Pow Pow, giving it up for Wiley. Can't get it to drop, gets it back. Another chance for Malaysia. For Wiley, runner is good. Does that unlock Malaysia for Wiley, who can get hot in a hurry? We saw it in that game against Maryland. Struggled early, was taken out. Colette Law, the assistant for Dawn Staley, told her, give Malaysia one more chance. A story told to us by our colleague Carolyn Peck. Dawn did, and Fulwiley ended up leading South Carolina down the stretch to the win in a comeback in the fourth.
Tough floater, and how important for your confidence to finally see one go through.
Fulwiley knocks it away. It can be that kind of disruptive defender as well. Fulwiley leads the break, and Fagan lays it in. And a timeout taken by Connecticut. Gino Auriemma doesn't want this run to simmer for South Carolina. Malaysia Fulwiley starting to plug in the electricity.
She can change the course of a game, and in just a few possessions, we saw her score, then get the poke, and the beautiful get ahead to Fagan. Ready to rock and roll. Back here in Tampa, where South Carolina has cut into the lead, Malaysia Fulwiley has been super impactful on both ends of the floor. We've seen her run in and get a shot, help side, coming over to get the block on Sarah Strong, and then the poke out front, leading to an easy two the other way for Sanaya Fagan. She has been so good and impactful here in a very short stretch of time.
And Malaysia Fulwiley has had this kind of connection all season long with Khadijah Sessions.
When Malaysia Fulwiley comes out of games, it's Khadijah Sessions who sits and talks and coaches her. Khadijah has known Malaysia since she was in the 5th grade, and even in practices, that's the coach who is in her ear. They watch film together. There's an incredible amount of trust between those two women.
3:10 to go in the third. Strong fakes the three, gives it up in the corner. Fudd, you bet! Daisy Fudd is on fire. 24.
What an answer. And you can use your 4-player as the facilitator to get the pass to Azzi.
That's going to be the second foul on Strong, and free throws here for Joyce Edwards. And you can see Dawn Staley upset with what happened on that previous trip down the floor.
You don't help off the strong side corner.
Just the second three of the game that UConn has hit as Edwards misses the free throw. South Carolina now 7 of 11 from the line. South Carolina looking for a second straight title and a third in 4 years, a 4th overall in the last decade. Connecticut seeking a 12th title and their first since 2016. Strong's three is good.
Joyce Edwards was right there. She was right there with a hand in the face.
Now UConn has the long ball working. Edwards spinning, gets denied. Hits working the interior, dives in, couldn't finesse it home.
UConn with their small lineup now, which had put Paige Beckers on Chloe Kitts defensively.
Arnold wheels back out. Fudd fakes the three, gives it up. Shade attacking, laying, couldn't finish it. Beckers the rebound. Underneath, Beckers gets the whistle.
Sarah Strong, dribble penetration, full Wiley comes in, helps off of AZ Fudd. Fudd makes her pay. This is a good contest defensively. Sarah Strong, just eyes on the rim, able to drain it. Dawn, frustration. It felt when Gino took that timeout that South Carolina was building that momentum, that if they could come out, get a couple stops and scores, they could cut this to single digits. Instead, the lead has ballooned for Connecticut.
Yeah, South Carolina had scored 4 straight. They were starting to get full Wiley going. And out of that timeout, back-to-back threes, and now these free throws from Beckers. The UConn big three, 100 points in the NCAA tournament. First trio since 2009, a pretty good one for Connecticut. Maya Moore, Tina Charles, Renee Montgomery. Raven Johnson muscling in. Johnson fading, a lot of contact, no call. Rebound gathered by Beckers, and then she is fouled.
But Ryan, that is not a recipe for success offensively for South Carolina. For Raven Johnson to be going one-on-one and backing down, but that's what they've been left with because of how good UConn's perimeter defense has been.
We've had so many coaches throughout this season talk to us about, everybody always likes to comment on the fluidity of Connecticut's offense. It's their defense that's so impactful. We have seen it here today, just like we did against UCLA. Arnold gets denied, but fouled. And that'll be number 3 on Edwards. Free throws here for KK Arnold.
UConn in its small lineup that leaves Joyce Edwards defending on the perimeter, defending a guard, and that time KK Arnold recognized that she had that quickness advantage. Now South Carolina going a little bit smaller to match UConn's lineup.
The 29th annual WNBA Draft, Monday, April 14th on ESPN and the app. The Dallas Wings have the first pick, followed by the Seattle Storm with the second. Washington Mystics have the 3rd and 4th. Our coverage begins with WNBA Countdown at 7 Eastern. Beckers unable to hit the 3. Paige Beckers, the presumptive number 1 overall pick. Where will Bree Hall, Sanaya Fagan land in that draft? Maybe Tessa Johnson hasn't, maybe Raven Johnson hasn't said yet whether or not she'll be back for another year at South Carolina. As Strong picks up her 3rd. Here is our current mock draft now that Olivia Miles, the Notre Dame point guard, chose the transfer portal rather than the WNBA, was the projected number 2 pick. Tessa Johnson to the line with under a minute to go in this 3rd. The UConn lead has swelled to 19. As Johnson hits the free throw, we check in with Holly.
I want to follow up what you're talking about UConn's defense and how good they are, but this is going to make WNBA GMs salivate. Sarah Strong, 90 steals and 65 blocks this season. No UConn player in history has more than 75 steals and 60 blocks in a season. And she's a freshman playing this level of defense. She got called for the foul there, but she has made such a huge impact. 90 and 65, guys.
And again doing it today. 15 points, 14 rebounds, blocks, and steals for Strong. As the foul is called on Edwards, and that will be her 4th. So now Chloe Kitts will come and get the talented freshman Joyce Edwards. Edwards and Strong, the top 2 freshmen in the country. You throw Michaela Blake's in there as well. But Edwards and Strong actually good friends who grew up playing together since middle school. The AAU circuit, Team USA, really connected with one another. Strong said her team used to always lose in AAU to Joyce. Her school team got Joyce's once, but she said Joyce's teams usually won, as Strong gets her first breather of the day. What a performance from the freshman. 17 points, 14 rebounds, 3 assists, Pow off on a three. Raven Johnson couldn't hold the board. And a foul is going to be called on South Carolina on Tessa Johnson. She was trying to force the tie-up and gets whistled for the personal. And Dawn Staley frustrated with that one. And I think you could see Gina Cross saying, look at the foul count, which so far 14 personals called on Connecticut and 12 on South Carolina.
I mean, that's fair. She's on her arm. You know, Tessa Johnson's grabbing Ashlyn Shade's arm, and it's right in front of the official. They tend to let a little bit more physicality go, like in the post, than they do out on the perimeter when it's so obvious.
20-point lead for UConn. Lila Palmer in the truck agrees with the call as well, our rules analyst. Here's Pow. 6 seconds left in the quarter. Pow spinning, taking, can't finish. Rebound Griffin, and that'll do it for the third. UConn takes a 20-point lead into the fourth. Dawn Staley chats with Holly. When we come back, can South Carolina come back? More after this message and a word from our ABC stations.
Well, Coach Staley, where do you begin to dig into this lead right now?
Yeah, bucket by bucket, stop by stop. I mean, it starts and ends with that.
We've seen you have that frustrated pull and pull of Malaysia. You need her points, but she's not always doing everything right defensively. Who else can score for you right now? Where do those points come from?
I don't know. I mean, we did a good job at getting in the bonus 5 minutes in that third quarter. Got to make free throws, okay? Tough battle for us today, but we're going to continue to battle.
Thank you, Coach.
All right.
20-point UConn lead to begin the fourth quarter of the national championship game. UConn seeking a 12th title. South Carolina a 4th and a repeat. KK Arnold being ridden the whole way, able to finish, plus the foul.
And this is UConn's super small lineup. They do not really have a traditional big on the floor, and there's great spacing as a result. KK Arnold just driving, gets a hit pass, and able to finish.
And the Connecticut bench fully engaged. Maddie McDaniel getting some time here for South Carolina as Arnold completes the three-point play. Largest lead of the game for UConn. A UConn team that has been simply dominant in this tournament this year. McDaniel gets fouled and will shoot two as the foul is called on Beckers. That'll be her second.
The more time South Carolina can score and cut into a lead with the clock stopped, the better. So not only McDaniel's ability to get to the free throw line here, but one foul closer to the bonus for them. You heard Dawn Staley talk about in the interview with Holly.
Yeah, she talked about in the interview with Holly before the game as well. On our pregame show, she talked about just trying to get UConn in a close game, knowing that they have not been in many close games this season. In fact, they've only played 3 games all year, UConn, which have been within 6 points in the final 5 minutes, and they've lost all 3 of those games. It's been a while since they've been in one of those situations. So Dawn talked about just keeping it close and seeing if maybe they would tighten up in that spot. You see, South Carolina has handled those situations quite well, but obviously right now, a lot of work to do for the Gamecocks to create a moment like that. Arnold stops, takes, gets fouled again by McDaniel, and free throws here for KK Arnold.
UConn always has terrific spacing offensively, but especially when they have a lineup that looks like this. They do not have a player, over 6 feet tall on the floor, able to space you out. Every one of these women on the floor can face up and drive by. We've seen that now 2 possessions in a row from Arnold.
You talked about it. We saw this lineup with Aubrey Griffin at the 5 a lot in that regular season matchup against South Carolina because Sarah Strong was in foul trouble in that win.
Right now, it's just to buy Sarah Strong a little bit more rest over on the side.
Second free throw good. 22-point edge for UConn. Beckers with 12 points, 5 rebounds. Fudd with 24 points. Sarah Strong, 17 points, 14 boards.
KK Arnold battling inside against Chloe Kitts.
And called for the foul. One player South Carolina is without that's worth mentioning, Ashlyn Watkins, who was a huge game changer for them a season ago. Tore her ACL earlier this season. No question they have felt her absence the last couple of months without her.
Perhaps the most athletic big in the country, and her ability to impact both ends of the floor as a result.
That's out of bounds off of South Carolina. UConn basketball.
South Carolina continuing to extend its full court pressure. Has not been a problem so far for UConn.
Strong back in with Beckers, Fudd, Arnold, and Shade. Pow, Tessa Johnson, Bree Hall, Maddie McDaniel, and Chloe Kitts for South Carolina. Here's Beckers. Her jumper is good with a hand in her face.
You cannot defend that handoff any better than South Carolina did.
14 for Beckers, steal from Shade, fouled by Kitts. And the Connecticut defense just suffocating.
Sometimes it doesn't matter how much you work on something defensively. This is handled pretty well. Kitts comes out, contests, has the length right there. Paige Beckers simply unbothered.
Dad Bob loving what he sees, out of his seat to celebrate. Strong, oh, what a finish! Reversing it home. McDaniel a 3, no. Strong, the rebound, and got it out of her hands. Here's Beckers on the break. Fudge 3. Off, and a foul gonna stay right here as Arnold got pushed from behind.
We've talked all game long about Sarah Strong and her hands and her feet as well. I mean, this is a tough catch, just spins it right up softly so it rolls in.
Joyce Edwards will come back in for South Carolina with her 4 fouls. South Carolina has already committed 4 fouls here in the 4th. It's a lot of time for UConn to get to the free throw line in the final quarter of this season. Beckers backdoor, pops it in, plus the foul. It's raining blue in Tampa.
Wow, Paige Beckers reading the cut. The ball delivered beautifully. Absorbs the contact. Look at the react. KK Arnold, the bench. They're feeling it right about now.
Paige Beckers now tied with Maya Moore for the most points in NCAA tournament history in her career, and now ahead of her Shamika Holtzclaw and Caitlin Clark, the only players with more total tournament points than Paige Beckers. Edwards flings it out. A 29-point UConn lead. Edwards lost it out of bounds, going to stay here. More unrelenting defense from UConn.
And what's remarkable is we're 3 minutes into the 4th quarter. Oftentimes you see teams play like that in the 1st quarter. UConn's still doing that here into the 4th.
Lob it into Edwards. Edwards can't get the bank to drop. Strong just volleys it into the backcourt. Bree Hall able to flag it down. An issue with the shot clock there that they want to get right. They reset it on the slap from Strong. You hear the UConn fans in love with what they have seen so far today. For Wiley, dashing through, beautiful finish from Malaysia for Wiley, the star sophomore. It held to just 4 points today. Fudd fakes the three. Strong does as well. Fudd gets a clean look. Little off, and Edwards couldn't handle the rebound. It's going to stay here with UConn. UConn has hit just 3 threes in this game. I think if you would have told anybody before the game, hey, UConn's going to go 3 for 14 from 3, they would have thought South Carolina is going to be right in this game.
And be limited to 6 fast break points.
Their defense has just been sensational, and they've gotten it done inside the arc on offense. Arnold on the attack. Arnold lays it in. Wiley, wow, my goodness. What a move from Malaysia for Wiley.
And good job to go quickly as well, because you need as much time as possible. On the other hand, you see UConn, deliberate, walking the ball up the floor, will be looking to stay aggressive while using clock.
Under 6 minutes to go. Using all the shot clock here. Beckers gives it up. Strong. You bet. The lead is 30, and the freshman is thriving. How about 22 points, 15 rebounds, 5 assists in her first national championship game. And KK Arnold adding a little something off the bench in this second half for UConn.
Sarah Strong is the next big star in women's college basketball in terms of freshmen.
Strong trying to come up with a steal. Beckers does. A 30-point UConn lead after they beat UCLA by 34, the largest margin of victory in a Final Four game. Fudd leaning, can't hit, got it back. Beckers will run more clock.
This is a disciplined, intelligent team when it comes to late game situations.
Strong, 2 to shoot. Strong rumbles in, kicks out. Fudd, little off, another offensive rebound. And UConn can run more clock. Arnold dashing in, 2 more. Fagan gets held up, out of bounds, 4:01 to go in the fourth. UConn on the doorstep of title number 12. Everybody in on the act today for Gino Auriemma's squad. Maisie Fudd with 24, Sarah Strong with 22, and 17 from Paige Beckers in her final collegiate game. Well, Paige Beckers on the brink of her first championship, playing in her 4th Final Four, and she's been excellent in this NCAA tournament. Her career point per game average, 19.9, highest in UConn history, the 3rd most career points in NCAA tournament history. Only Shamika Holtzclaw and Caitlin Clark with more. Her 40 in the Sweet 16, a UConn tournament record. And we talked to Gino Auriemma yesterday, and we said, do you want this one for Paige? He said, of course I want this for Paige. He said, usually we take care of this by our stars' sophomore years. He said she's had to live in a grind, not in a fantasy land like some others, as South Carolina's upperclassmen will check out now. We'll get back to Paige in a moment. But you see the hugs for Fagan, Pow Pow, Raven Johnson, Bree Hall. We asked Dawn Staley yesterday about whether or not she's thought about it being the final game for so many of these impactful players in her program who have won a couple of national championships here, have been to Final Fours every year of their collegiate careers. And Dawn said, the thing she feels great about is there's nothing missing from their resumes. They've accomplished everything they set out to here. And she also knows they are prepared to make an impact at the next level. She said whatever role they have on a team, she knows they're going to go into a camp, and that coaching staff is going to say, I like their work and I like what they can bring. And that's the way Dawn Staley prepares her players.
And she also said these women have grown into resilient young women who will never be taken advantage of in their life, and is as equally proud of that as anything she has helped them accomplish on the basketball court.
And obviously today is not the day for South Carolina. This has been a brilliant performance from UConn, but you can't say enough about the program that Dawn Staley has built in Columbia. This is 5 straight Final Fours. They have won 3 championships over the last 9 years. They have won 2 of the last 4. And we know they're not going anywhere. They will be a premier power in college basketball for as long as Dawn Staley is at the helm. Edwards can't finish. Sarah Strong, 114 points in this NCAA tournament, the most by a freshman in Division I history. I think Diana Taurasi's baby Jokic comp is pretty spot on, as Gino Auriemma is going to take a timeout, get Caitlin Chen back in. KK Arnold will receive a nice hand. .220 to go. The Connecticut faithful behind their bench on their feet. Becker's one to shoot off one leg. Can't drop it in. Rebound kicks, had it taken by Shade. And UConn will run more clock. Gino Auriemma was talking to us about that win in Columbia in mid-February. At that time, the question was, could UConn compete with the best in the country? They had lost to Tennessee. They had lost to USC. They had lost to Notre Dame. Becker's, not that time. And he expected to go in the locker room and see them really celebrating that win against the Gamecocks. Instead, he saw them totally businesslike. And he said, that gave me a good feeling for what was to come. Paige Becker said it wasn't celebratory, it was motivating. It was the first example of what we really could be. And it's exactly what they have been over the last couple of months. The emotion pouring out of Paige Beckers as she hugs the entire UConn coaching staff. We were talking to her yesterday about her relationship with Gino Auriemma. And she said it is definitely one of one. I'd say it's tough love, but I feel like I can talk to Gino about anything. I go into his office, we chat about golf or how to handle pressure. how to navigate social media, managing money. Said, yeah, he's sarcastic. Yes, he has that quick wit. But the reason the relationship is so special is because I'm willing to give it back to him. Under 1 minute to go. Edwards the block. 42 seconds remaining. And Connecticut will be the first Division I program to 12 titles, all with that man at the helm. For Wiley, buries the three. It's a slight differential game in shot clock here. There'll have to be one more tiny possession as Connecticut gets ready to celebrate. Gina Cross, the official, telling the bench, hey, it's going to be a violation, so don't quite run on the floor yet. There's the violation. And there's the buzzer. It's an even dozen for Gino Auriemma and Connecticut. The final page in the book of Beckers